I now hand the conference over to Mr. Dinesh Nolkar, Managing Director. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Good afternoon to everyone, and thank you for joining us on this Q4 and FY21 earnings call. I hope you and your dear ones are keeping well and safe in this unprecedented time. I hope you had the chance to look at our results and presentation uploaded on stock exchanges and our company's website. Along with me on this call, I have Mr. P. Maheshwari, Chief Financial Officer, and SGA, our Investor Relation Advisors. Let me begin by opening remarks by giving a brief note of the industry and company, and then Mr. Maheshwari will take you through the financial highlights for the quarter and full year ended 31st March 2021. Indian textile sector is the second largest employer generator in the country after the agriculture sector, and in India is the fifth largest exporter of textiles and apparels in the world. The textile industry contributes nearly 7% to the overall industrial output and 2% to the GDP. It also contributes 12% to the export earnings and holds 5% of the global trade in textile and apparel. India is the second largest producer and exporter of textiles after China and fourth largest producer and exporter of apparel after China, Bangladesh, and Vietnam. Superior quality of produce make companies in India leaders in exports. So almost 2/3 of India's exports of textile is to US and the EU countries. Nitin Spinners is India's leading manufacturer of cotton yarn, blended yarn, knitted fabric, and finished woven fabrics. The company's leadership in cotton and blended yarn fabric manufacture is driven by continuous investments in latest technologies, resulting in delivering international standard quality products. Strong R&D on developing value-added products combined with systematic processes and robust distribution network has allowed this company to create value for both global and domestic client bases. On the export side, we have presence in 60 plus countries and witnessing robust demand from various countries. And I'm thrilled to share with you all that we have achieved export turnover of more than 1,000 crores in the last fiscal year. That is over $140 million. We have achieved higher productivity and efficient utilization on the back of investments in R&D and cutting-edge technology through our state-of-the-art manufacturing facilities. Moreover, our efficient project execution of large projects lead to saving in capital cost and faster utilization of our assets. We have achieved highest ever revenue, profits during the difficult times, along with establishing new product line of blended yarns and the finished woven fabrics. Going forward, we are looking to consolidate our existing products and capacities, and we will strive to maintain our top line growth momentum by optimizing capacity utilization, and we shall continue to add value-added products. We'll go for some debottlenecking of our existing manufacturing facilities to increase our production base, and shall definitely continue to explore newer markets across the geographies. We are just at this point of time closely watching the situation of pandemic and government policies like PLI scheme to chart out our future growth plans. Now, I would request Mr. Maheshwari to give the financial highlights for the quarter and full year ended on 31st March 2021.
Hello. Thank you, Amrit sir. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you all for joining the call. I would like to touch upon the financial highlights for the quarter and full year ended 31st March 2021. Revenue for Q1 FY21 increased to 512 crores from 380 crores same period last year, up by 35%. Revenue on Q-on-Q basis were up by 10%, and for the full year, the revenues was up by 13% from 1,438 crores to 1,624 crores. For gross margin for Q4 21 stood at 45.1% as compared to 39.2% in Q4 20. That is an increase of 590 bps in gross margin that increased due to better realization coupled with volume growth. Our business recovered post second half, that is in Q3 and Q4, and led to uptick in our gross margin. EBITDA for the quarter were 104 crores as compared to 54 crores in F4 Q4 FY20 and 74 crores in Q3 21. That is an increase of 40% on Q-on-Q basis. And for full year, EBITDA grew by 51.5% from 170 crores to 257 crores. Profit before tax increased from 10 crores in Q4 FY20 to 66 crores Q4 FY21. Profit before tax for the full year grew from 36 crores in FY20 to 107 crores in FY21. Profit after tax increased to 43 crores in Q4 from 7 crores same period last year. PAT margins for Q4 stood at 8.4%, and PAT for the full year grew from 24 crores to 69 crores in FY21. Cash EPS for the quarter was 11.55 per share as against 5.50 in Q4 FY20. On annual basis, the cash EPS was 28.44 per share in FY21 against 18.60 in FY20. Total debt at the end of March 21 stood at 961 crores against stood at 1,040 crores against 961 crores. That is witnessing reduction of 79 crores. Long-term debt to equity ratio reduced from 1.4 to 1. Cash flow from operating activities at the end of March 21 stood at 155 crores against 98 crores last year. I am happy to announce that Board of Directors have proposed a dividend of 15%, that is 1.50 per share for FY21. Now I open the floor for questions and answers.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on the touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Chirag Sridhar from ValueQuest. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity and congratulations for great set of numbers. Sir, my first question was on the current demand environment. If you can throw some light on how it's export as well as domestic demand trending currently.
Yes, Chirag. This basically, as we all know, that the second wave of COVID-19 has hit all of us very badly in our country specifically. So domestic demand at this point of time slightly affected because of this. Basically, as you all know, we are an intermediary producer, product supplier, and we are not selling in directly. As such, till time downstream activities are not closed, will not be impacted much. And anyway, we have exports be more than 60%. If you see our last numbers also, our exports are nearly 62% for the last year. So definitely that part of the business is not affected at all. And for the rest of the business, we are trying to see that we divert most of our businesses towards exports till this pandemic continues in our country. And we'll have to see and watch what the COVID happens here and how long the lockdowns prolong in our country. That is how the situation is.
But is it fair to assume that export demand will continue to remain strong even in this
of course. Yes, basically, the demand all over is for our businesses pretty well, even in India as well as overseas. Because of this lockdowns only, it is slightly getting impacted. Otherwise, demand is pretty robust. There is no issues at all with demand. And most of the countries in the export market have now opened. So we do not foresee any issues there.
Right. And my next question was on current yarn prices. So if you see last 3-4 months, yarn prices have shot up sharply and they are at like all-time high. At the same time, corresponding cotton prices have not gone up as high as yarn prices. So this increase in yarn spread, is this a number sustainable going ahead, or how one should look at this number?
Basically, these yarn prices, what it has been projected in the media, that they are all-time high and they have gone up over the roof. So that is, if you see the average realization part of it, when you go for the average, because this is gone in, means one particular contract done at a higher rate, and that is being shown in the media or whatever by the downstream suppliers, should not be considered. Average price realizations in February, March have remained more or less similar to what has happened in the April and May at this point of time. Now, coming to the second part of the question is that whether this is going to sustain for long, or whether this particular differential in the cotton prices to yarn prices will remain in same levels. Here I have a few things to just tell you which will let you understand the situation. Basically, in past so many years, we have seen that there was a lot of capacity being built up in India. And every year we used to see a growth of about 6 to 7% in the spindlage capacity, and about 4 to 5% around in the weaving and knitting capacity in downstream. So we were growing, but we were not consuming that much, or we were not exporting to that extent. This situation has reversed in last financial year. In fact, some capacity, smaller capacity, unviable capacity has gone down, due to which the demand-supply situation is pretty balanced, I would say, or maybe more tilted towards demand. The demand is more and slightly supply is less. And anyway, we are not seeing any new capacities coming in going forward at this point of time because of pandemic, and people are not too much keen to invest at this point of time in most of the capacities in textiles. So that is why we are seeing a more than a margin which is reasonable, or maybe a slightly higher than reasonable margin. So this particular scenario cannot continue forever. But for the near foreseeable future, till the capacity, which may take 1 or 2 years down the line, this will continue for the life.
Right. So this 20% margins which we achieved in Q4, is this a sustainable number? That is the right way to look?
Frankly, I would request you to look at the yearly margin levels. That would be a much better way, because one particular quarter you may see cotton coming in at very, very low prices. Initially, the cotton was at low prices. Then the government jumped in and they jacked up the prices. So then they increased the prices to very high levels. Means once the government came in, they increased the prices by 15 to 20%. So this kind of margin levels, definitely we strive to maintain this kind of margins, but this should not be made as a benchmark. We feel that benchmark margins for spinning are about 16 to 17%, around 16% levels, and you can plus something for value addition. Value addition like woven and finish definitely has higher value margins. So of course, always whenever a company achieves a particular margin level, it strives to maintain that margin, but that should not be made as a benchmark.
Right. So my second question was on inventory. So if we generally December to March, April is a period when you guys procure large part of your raw material requirement for the season. So in terms of inventory, how are we placed?
Normally we have a very prudent inventory policy. We do not go overboard any point of time even if you go and see last 6, 7, 8 years also. We have followed a prudent policy where we do not go overboard on the raw material side especially, and definitely we try to maintain minimum possible inventory on the finished goods side. We normally have a policy that we have some buffer stock, and then above that we do keep the inventory as per our order book. So normally that is where we have inventories in the range of 3 to 4 months. So that was the situation of same thing was there at this point of time also.
Okay. And just lastly, with this expanded gross block, what kind of peak sales we can achieve, and can we achieve this year itself?
If there is no COVID disruptions, subject to COVID disruption, how long is the COVID disruption? Till now we have been doing pretty well, and all our operations, all our plants are under operation. So there is no disruption in sense. Last year we had plants stopping because government announced lockdown where no industry was supposed to operate. This year industries are operating. So if there is no major disruption due to COVID, I think we should be able to achieve the peak turnover this year. It should be around 2,000 crores.
Okay, got it, sir. Thank you and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Avnish Chandra from East India Securities. Please go ahead.
Congratulations, Dinesh sir and Maheshwari ji, for a strong set of performance. And thank you very much for sharing a very good PPT with all data. Sir, first question, in woven fabric segment, you have shown you have 30 million capacity and we have hit 23 million. So can we? So is there a scope of fully utilized during this year, this financial year?
Normally, Avinash, normally we have 95 to 97% utilization levels. So if there is no disruption due to COVID, we are out there to achieve this kind of capacity. Means there is no issues as far as sales is concerned. We are not seeing, and we are seeing good demand coming out in this particular segment. We have been able to fairly establish our products in last 1 year, although it was very tough time. But all our team worked very well to establish in the various brands, Indian and international brands. So we don't foresee any issue in achieving the top capacity. If there is no lockdown, that is one particular thing. And secondly, this particular business, the domestic market. In this particular business, most of our customers are in domestic market since they do garmenting. And if the lockdowns are severely affecting the garmenting industry, then definitely some capacity may come down in this particular segment. Otherwise, definitely we'll achieve it.
Okay. And sir, to achieve this 90-95% capacity, we will utilizing our own yarn capacity, or do we have plan to? Because in yarn and fabric anyway we are rating 100%. So to achieve that, what would be the strategy for the yarn or fabric procurement?
Sir, as a strategy of the company, we are not at all buying any outside yarn. We only buy some products which we are not manufacturing at all, which is minuscule, maybe about 1 to 2% of our total raw materials. That is what we buy. Otherwise, normally we use our own yarn. As far as our yarns is concerned, we are trying to debottleneck some of our plants. We are putting up some additional spindles as well as putting up some additional preparatory to increase the capacity. So that will again increase our capacity and maybe balance the requirements, the additional requirements of our weaving and knitting segment as well.
Okay. So, sir, any ballpark number for capex in FY22 and FY23, and how it will add capacity to the existing?
For this FY22, we are planning a capex of about 30 crores, primarily in our spinning, also some part in our small part in our fabric division. So that is what we are planning. For FY23, we have not yet planned as such. Basically, it is still on the drawing board, and we are just waiting for the government policies to come out and the COVID to play out, so that we get a sense of how the demand is changing, what is the disruption, what is the new. Because as we see any disruption, we see that the demand scenario in particular segments also keep on changing. So we have to just study that out, and then we can work on the FY23 numbers.
Okay. So, sir, this 30 crore will add how many spindle? Maybe 20-25,000?
No. It is not possible to add 25,000. We are adding about 7,300 spindles. We are adding. And some capacity we are adding on small capacity debottlenecking we are doing on our printing and dyeing side, where we can increase our dyeing and printing and processing. So that part we will be doing. So both the things will put together about 30 crores.
Okay, sir. One last question on PLI. Sir, whatever data or media reports are suggesting PLI is coming mostly in the man-made segment. So, do you have any information? Is there any PLI on cotton segment? Anything you can throw light on related to PLI?
Initially, you're very right. When the initial announcement was made, the basic objective of PLI was to focus on the products which India is importing. So, and the products in which there is a big international market, and we are not, we are weak in that. And in that sense, man-made fiber segment is weaker in the sense the ratio of man-made fiber production and the cotton yarn production is skewed towards cotton yarn. So that was the initial objective. But it has been a lot of presentations have been made to the government, and government that cotton yarn and cotton textile is the strength of this country. We are a leader in cotton yarn manufacturing as well as exports in the world market. We hold nearly 30% of the world market share. So the focus should not be, this sector should not be left behind. Of course, this is now for the textile ministry to decide how they go about it. But as we are understanding, that definitely garmenting of cotton and cotton products will also be considered for this particular PLI. It was supposed to be announced in the end of April, but I think due to this raging pandemic, it has been withheld at this point of time.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt, this is the operator.
Thank you very much, sir, for answering my question. Best of luck for coming quarters. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Prerna Jhunjhunwala from B&K Securities. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Congratulations, sir, on a strong set of numbers. Just wanted to understand the current scenario in terms of the spreads that you get now as compared to the same that you got in the fourth quarter. And how has Xinjiang issue, helped improve the spreads, and whether it would be one of the major reasons for increase in spreads, and how long it can take to really resolve. Any color on that would be helpful.
Yeah. Pranaji, number one is, I'll first answer your second part, about Xinjiang cotton. Basically, what has happened is, as you all know, must have read in the media as well, that Xinjiang cotton products have been banned, or they have been, European and US, most of the brands have decided not to buy any products made out of that particular cotton. So basically what has happened is, so China now, if any Chinese company is there, they will have to first either buy any other cotton and spin it and then do it, and then they have to certify that. So basically, so they will have to change their product profile. That is one thing which they will have to do. Now at this point of time, what is happening is, most of the Chinese companies are diverting their Xinjiang cotton to the domestic market. So it is purely just a shift, and it is going to not majorly change the overall scenario of the world market or world situation. And so basically it's a sort of disruption, you can say, for some small point of time. So that is happening, and that will play out. And that is not extraordinarily helping Indian yarn industry as such. Rather, I would say the Indian raw cotton industry is being helped because most of the Chinese companies are now preferring to buy the Indian cotton, and they will try to do instead of their own Chinese cotton, and which we are also seeing the high number of cotton exports from our own country. So this is not going to majorly impact any margins or any of the financial numbers. It is only just going to create a slightly higher demand for our companies in terms of yarn and cotton. Now coming back to the margin part, basically if you see, margins of most of the spinning companies went up started to go up from November onwards, once the effect of pandemic was over and everybody came into full production. This was basically because the demand more or less remained as it is, but the production went down. So as I explained earlier also, that slightly at this point of time, the demand supply scenario, demand is slightly, I would say, more than the supply what we are getting in the Indian market. And also we are seeing good demand in export markets, because you have to see that our cottons are slightly cheaper than the international cotton, which has been the case for most of the parts in last decade, except 1 or 2 years like 2019, 20. Otherwise, normally our cotton is cheaper than the international cotton. So that has also helped us back gain our international market. So both the things put together is we are having a reasonable market, reasonable margins. Of course, that is also aided by the cost inflation which has happened in past, and we were not able to pass it on to our customers. So all put together, we expect that margins what was there in Q4 should remain as it is in Q1 of this financial year, provided we have to also see that there is no major disruption due to lockdowns and domestic industry it is badly affected. Definitely, the demand which I am talking of will go up altogether.
Okay. So now, sir, if Xinjiang issue is not one of the factors, as you say, for a driving factor for improvement in spreads, it is actually demand supply. Do you think that investment in spinning industry should now start happening because the spreads appears to be sustainable for the time being, and the demand is higher than supply, so supply should start kicking in as there should be some capacity announcement across the industry to support the increased demand, etc. So do you think as an investment opportunity, spinning now becomes attractive with higher ROC businesses because of improved margins and investment becoming attractive?
Yes, of course. At this point of time, it looks like this. But as we all know, banks are not yet ready to accept this at this point of time, and textile sector, they have suffered a lot of issues with it in the textile sector. So
yeah.
At this point of time, till now, I have not seen any major capacity announcements. Whatever has been done by most of the companies, is done by the large companies, and that too with their own internal accruals. Whatever they can do, means in terms of their capacity, not anything major is coming up at the moment.
Okay, so I mean, despite this appearing sustainable, capacity additions are still reluctant, is what I take from this. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, could you just help us understand your processing business as well, in terms of where your utilizations are and any key challenges or opportunities that you see in the processing segment, because that appears to be one of the weakest segments in the value chain, as we have read in the past for the industry. So could you please highlight there what is the opportunity there and how it can really improve the fortunes of Nitin Spinners or as a sector if we invest more in that area?
Basically, if you see in last, we have commercialized this particular capacity in January of 2020. And as soon as we were starting to ramp it up and market this product, we saw immediately COVID in first quarter of the fiscal. So we had to restart everything with our, I would say, all the effort which we have done in the past has to be restarted. And that has, but we have been able to establish first of the most important part within this industry is the establishment of the quality. So we had very good professionals with us, and we had very good marketing team which were able to establish our products in very short time. And if you see in most of the weaving industry, it takes a lot of time to establish the quality of the product in the market. So that we have been able to do at this point of time. The only challenge at the moment lies is the improving the realizations and establishing into most of the leading brands and most of the international players. So we have not been able to fully tap these brands and most of the bigger brands ones and the larger quantities because of COVID. So that is a huge opportunity which still lies with us to improve the realization in our weaving division going forward. at this point of time, we were able to, means in the Q4 of last year, we were able to utilize nearly 74% of our processing facility. And since this is made to order product and we do not make any product which is going to go for stock, so this was what we were able to get from most of the customers. So we are trying to improve upon that side. So definitely that will improve as this improves. Although our receiving division and as well as our processing division are equally balanced. So whatever capacity is left after this normally is sold in grey market, also in international market as well as in India. So we are trying to see that we come out of this grey sales business completely and complete fabric value added. So this is a process where we'll be able to increase our realizations, improve our brand visibility as well, and can also see that the value addition is also on the higher side going forward.
Okay. And so my last question is on supply chain. Do you think the domestic supply chain is adequately filled, or is it dry that, when the lockdowns open, we'll see a demand coming back very sharply after the lockdowns open up?
Basically, as you also said in your first question, that the prices were rising and everybody will this margin sustain, and so most of the players in the downstream industry was also of the similar view, and due to which nobody had stocked very good quantity of yarns or I would say fabrics, because everybody was feeling that these prices are going high and we should see how it plays out and then go for it. And we were seeing very good robust demand from the retail going forward. So we feel that at this point of time there is not too much of inventory in the process. And also, as you can see, maybe 50% or 60% industries are running. So all the inventories is slowly drying up. Only thing is, inventory is going to go and pile up at the retail sector unless we see a lot of online sales. This is something which has to be judged over a period of time. Last year it was completely misjudged and everybody thought maybe we'll not see that kind of demand which we had seen from September, October till December. Nobody anticipated and all the inventory was out. So we don't know this time, but we are seeing that it all depends how much online sales happen, because retail is completely closed at this point of time.
Okay. Thank you, sir. That's helpful. All the best, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, in order to ensure that the management is able to address questions from all participants, request you to please limit your questions to 2 per participant. If you have a follow-up question, you may rejoin the queue. The next question is from the line of Mohit Baheti from L&T Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Hello, team. Thank you for the opportunity and congrats for the great set of numbers. So my question is on the expense part. Could you please let us know why we have seen a 20% kind of increase in our employee costs and OPEX this year?
Pardon, which one?
Employee costs and OPEX or other expenses.
As you all know, our capacity has been added. So we added, if we compare with last year, with 19-20, we were in the process of adding the capacity. So in different parts, we added our capacities, like spinning part was added in June, and then weaving part was added in the month of October, and processing was added. So all the operational costs which was related to them were then came nearly full during this particular year. That is also reflected in the production increase in the production numbers which we have in quantity terms, which we have also given in the presentation. That is the prime reason for increase in the operational cost as well as the employee cost.
Okay. So sir, why I was asking this was, we have seen across like 6% increase in gross margin and like 4% increase in EBITDA margin. So going forward, when you say that you will achieve 2,000 crore of turnover at your full capacity, what should be your stable EBITDA margins? What we can consider?
Sir, stable EBITDA margins for the yarn industry on a long-term basis is about 14 to 15%, and on the fabric businesses, it is about 18 to 23%. So this is a sustainable margin for the long term, and any other margins or any other extraordinary situation, demand supply gaps or anything else is in addition to that. This is what normally take. We'll have to see how lockdowns, restrictions, demand supply scenario forward, and accordingly the numbers have to be there.
Okay. All right. That was from my side. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Abhishek from KM Capital Limited. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello. Yeah, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, sir, I wanted to know, like in the budget 2021, government has imposed a 10% customs duty on import of imported cotton. How is it going to affect the competitiveness of your business in international as well as domestic market?
First of all, as we all know, Indian cotton is cheaper than the international cotton. So we normally do not import the cotton. Only the cotton which is not available in our own country, the likes of Giza, Supima, and some contamination-free cottons are only imported. So for them, as we all know, 10% custom duty is imposed. But if we do exports, this duty is free. We can do on advanced licensing basis. So on all our exports businesses, whatever we do, there is no impact of basically only a small part of value addition which we do. On that, we do not get drawback, which is about 1.9%. So let's say if we do 40% value addition, then we don't 0.8% is the loss which we do on that particular, which we are able to increase on the price part. Coming to the domestic part, yes, definitely this will make the domestic this particular when it comes into when somebody wants some Supima yarn, Giza yarn, or some contamination-free yarn and sold in India to various brands and others, then it becomes expensive and we have to add that particular cost for that. At this point of time, since these are specialized products, most of it is passed on.
Oh. Thank you.
Yes.
That's it from.
Hello. Hello.
The next question is from the line of Vikram Vilas Suryavanshi from Phillip Capital India Private Limited. Please go ahead.
Good evening, sir, and congrats for good numbers. Can you share what is the mix of gray and finished volume in total 23 million meters what we have done in terms of fabric sale? What are the mix of gray and finished?
Maheshwari, can you highlight about it since you have the numbers exactly? Maheshwari?
Yes, sir.
Please, let them. You can just share the numbers because they are in the presentation as well. Yes.
Correct.
In sales, we have not mixed. I guess you said because going ahead you want to plan the maximum finished garment sale only and reduce the mix of this gray fabric sale. So what is the current mix? I just wanted to know.
Of the in the woven segment?
Yeah.
Yeah, Maheshwari, please.
Woven segment, we sold 144 lakh meters and 83 lakh meter gray. So out of 27, 83 lakh.
For the gray?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And in the knitted fabric sector, what would be our maximum production capacity? So if you have any good year, say last year we produced around 7,375 tons. But what is our maximum capacity in the knitted fabric segment?
Maximum capacity in knitted fabric segment is about 8,500 tons. Installed capacity is about 9,000 tons, and we are able to utilize about 90-93% of that, which is about 8,500.
Okay. And last question, if I can ask, sir, what would be our captive consumption going ahead as our weaving capacity increases? I think broadly we are using around 25% of production in-house. So how that will look like in next 2 years or 3 years when we have reached to maximum capacity for woven fabric or knitted fabric? What kind of in-house consumption of yarn will be there?
At this point of time, last year it was about 24%, and we see that if we run all weaving and knitting at full capacities, we achieve the top capacity, then it should be about 28 to 29% levels.
Okay, that also. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Pranay Zaveri from JNJ Holdings Private Limited. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. Thank you for this opportunity and congratulations on great set of numbers. Sir, if you can just highlight on the yarn spread for Q4 FY21 and Q4 FY20.
Maheshwari?
Hello.
Maheshwari, please, if you can answer this. Exact numbers, you have the exact numbers. Please share with him.
Like Q4, the average yarn realization was 216 per kg, and this quarter it was about 270 per kg.
Sorry, sir, I missed.
Q4 yarn realization was 216 per kg, and this year it is this quarter Q4 it is 270 per kg.
Okay, this 216 is Q4 FY20.
Q4 FY20 216.
Okay, sir. And what would be that in Q3, sir? FY21.
FY21 Q3 it was about 225.
Okay. Sir, what was the inventory gain in this quarter which you would have got?
In fact, inventory gains are minuscule in this because as normally in this quarter we start buying cottons. I think you're talking about the raw material inventory gains.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Raw materials normally we start buying in the beginning of the cotton season itself starts in November, and then we go way forward. We go on buying the inventory. So cotton prices for initial 1 month it was on the lower side before the government of India started their MSP operation, and since then they have more or less remained stable from January to March. So more or less inventory, I would not say there are any major inventory gains during this particular quarter.
Okay, sir. And the second question from my side is basically since we target reaching a peak capacity utilization this year, which is FY22, when would we start thinking of any other capex, and probably that would be in what area? Maybe spinning, weaving, or maybe a bouquet of the whole thing?
Like first of all, as you have seen in past 8-10 years, if you see our trackers, in past 8-10 years we have continued to grow at CAGR of about 17-18%. And if we have to continue that growth path, definitely we have to grow going forward. So it's on drawing boards. Already we are working out what we need to do, what are the areas where we could focus. But primarily, definitely government schemes and this COVID will play an important role in that. We have to also see those parts. But primarily, we feel that still we have a lot of scope to grow in the areas where we are already there, like in spinning, weaving, processing, as well as knitting. These are very large areas, and still our capacities are not very big that we cannot sustain them. So these three areas where we are existing, we have strength, we have our core strength. We'll definitely like to grow in these areas itself at the moment. So that is what we are thinking, and then further going forward, let us see the kind of policy framework which comes in. We'll decide that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ayush Mittal from Mittal Antiques Private Limited. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir. Congratulations on a good performance. I have a couple of questions. One, given the good times that the company is in, or given the status today, and as I can see that you have not planned any major capex, is there an intent to repay a large part of debt currently that we have and come down to certain debt equity ratio, something on that line? Is there any action plan?
And still, whatever additional cash which we have, we will continue to repay the debts. But here I want you to understand one thing is that we have two parts of debts. One is the term loans which we take for for capital expenditure of putting up the plants and machinery. This is with a lot of concessional rate of interest and have to be repaid as per the schedule only. The concessional rate means the average cost of those funds is about 4%. And that is a scheduled payment. If you see, our annual repayment is about 110 crores, 110 to 120 crores, depending every year. So we continue to repay those debts. So part of the cash generation goes in for that. And second part is the working capital. So working capital part, definitely till the money is whatever we need, basically whatever money we generate, we park the money in our working capital and we reduce our debt for that particular portion till we plan any capex.
What is the cost of this working capital?
The working capital cost is about 7.6% on an average.
Okay, and overall cost of funds would be for us what? And what is the gross debt?
Around 5.3, 5.4 blended cost is about this much.
And what is the gross debt?
Gross debt is 940 crores. It is 961 crores on 2021.
Okay, and so what do we plan to do with the cash flow that we are generating good cash flow till we don't have those scheduled payments?
So scheduled payments are when we have quarterly payments. So we prepay 110 crores every year out of that, and then we have working capital of about 280 crores, the money can be parked in those. So that is again which we can reduce going forward.
Okay. And so given that textile is a manpower intensive thing, and given what is happening with the COVID cases and everything, how is the situation as of now, and what challenges are you facing and how you are overcoming them?
Definitely, this is the most important. It's good that you asked us this question. We have been lot of efforts going in this particular part of the thing. We have nearly 5,000 plus people working in the company. Of course, all this effort started when the first wave hit us. We have taken a lot of efforts and a lot of SOPs have been followed to see that all our employees are safe and they are not affected by this pandemic. So at this point of time, I'm very happy to tell you that we have less than 1% positive cases in our whole of our employees at the moment. So and we track them very religiously and also take care that the proper care is taken. We have also provided quarantine centers at our company campuses. Also, we have COVID care centers. So we take a lot of care on that particular part. And till date, none of our operations have been affected due to this. In fact, we help a lot to our local administrations also to take care of this particular thing. Also in and around area, we are taking a lot of care about this.
Okay, that's good to hear, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Nirmal Shah from Seraphic Management. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir. Just wanted to understand, do you get export incentives for your business?
Export incentive is really minuscule for us. It is about, we get drawbacks. Normally, drawback is in the range of 1.9 to 2% for whatever the duties and taxes which is not rebated by GST, what is not covered by GST. So this is what we get at this point of time. For all, including yarns, fabrics, woven, finishes, everything.
So the new incentive scheme, are you eligible, RODTAP or no?
Yeah, we will be eligible for that.
So till last year you were getting ROSCTL benefits?
No, we were getting MEIS benefits.
Okay, but then it came that rebate of state and central levies. It was replaced with MEIS, right? So were you getting any incentives under that scheme?
Yeah, we were supposed to get, but we have not we have not, since the rate has not been decided for our businesses, we are not getting anything at the moment.
Okay. So my
And that has not been considered also as well.
Okay. So my second question was, in your opening remarks, you mentioned that a lot of small and mid capacity is not in the market right now because of various issues for spinning. So that capacity is out permanently, or you think that capacity would come back at a particular level, at a certain lucrative margin level?
Means if they cannot come at this margin level, then they will not come going forward as well. Basically, that is very short answer to your question. And what has happened is there are various reasons why the capacities have gone down. We have reasons for obsolete technology, also financial troubles, and many companies have went into financial trouble. Some of the people have very good real estate, so they don't want themselves, the owners don't want to start the companies back. And also at some places, workers, they had migrant workers and workers have left, and they are not able to take up that. Again, they are able to restart. So for various reasons, the capacity has gone down. If you see the data also, from April to February data announced, IIP data announced by the government, the cotton yarn production was minus 20%. So the means even if we take out the lockdown periods and others, we never expected this kind of downtick in the production.
So in current context of another lockdown, the situation would still remain the same, or you think this time there is far more bigger possibility of that capacity coming on stream?
No, in fact, during lockdown periods, to restart the capacities is practically not possible only. If somebody is already operating, he is striving to see that they remain operating. Plus, if you see, there are certain capacities in the NCLT which has been closed down, they have not been started. So those capacities will have to be, and no decision is being taken on those grounds as well. So we do not see any major capacity coming back from those which is not yet started. Means if somebody had to start, they would have already started by January of 2021. If they have not started then I don't think so they will be able to do now. Practically not possible.
So just last follow-up question to that. So if you can give some benchmark, means how big that capacity would be of total industry capacity, which is on the back burner right now. Some broad number if you would like to give.
About 4 to 5%.
That's it. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Venkat Samala from Tata Asset Management. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Thanks for the opportunity. So just wanted to understand, you did maintain that the long-term margins would be around 14 to 15% in yarn. But basis whatever is really happening now, I know it's a little fluid situation and it is very difficult to make conclusive remarks. But just wanted to understand, I mean, at this point in time, what's your sense if the current margins would largely sustain, or it will be higher than the usual level of margins that it will finally boil down to, or is it too early to call out anything?
At this point of time, we are seeing that margins are increasing, and
right.
The reason for which I already explained, demand scenario as well as the international scenario. So this kind of disruption cannot remain forever, as we all know. And also, ultimately going forward, some capacity will come up. Not because normal capacity takes about 12 to 15 months minimum to put up this kind of capacity. So once the capacity comes up and this disruption goes away, it has been my experience that we come back to the normal margin levels. So that is what, till that time, we may continue to enjoy the additional margin. the industry will continue to enjoy that.
Right. Sure. Sir, and with respect to demand, if you could just highlight if there is any additional demand which has come in during this 6 to 9 months, which wasn't there previously, and therefore is an added structural element which would thereby continue to add up to whatever demand was already there. If there's anything,
basically the demand remained constant. The supply went down.
Achha.
So, and for the demand side, we saw that in demand side, if we do go into the sub-segments, home textiles and the knitting segments or leisure wear segments were growing pretty rapidly because when people were at home, they tried to spend on their home textiles as well as on the leisure wear which they wear at home. And casual wear demand was lesser. If you subdivide the further demand side onto that side. So the demand per capita demand increase or any gross demand increase was not there, at least in the domestic. Only supply side disruptions caused this effect, and that is the whole. If you can summarize this, the supply has been lesser, demand is more or less remained constant, which we were thinking that this will also go down.
Understood. And sir, how have the yarn prices behaved in the last 1.5 months? I mean, since the time progressively a lot of these states are coming up with the lockdown announcements. So how has the yarn prices behaved?
Yarn prices have come down since then. Means if you see the peak levels,
right.
From the peak levels, they have come down by about 4-5%.
Okay.
But cotton prices also came down by about 3-4%. So since because of COVID effect, both the things have simultaneously. In last COVID, we saw that cotton prices went down by about 20%, and yarn prices also went down by about 15%. This time the effect is not that severe, so cotton prices have gone down by about 3-4%, and yarn prices have also gone down by about 5%.
Sure. Okay, sir. Thanks a lot. Wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, due to time constraints, that was the last question for today. I would now like to hand the conference over to Mr. Dinesh. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. I hope we have been able to answer most of your questions satisfactorily. However, should you need any further clarifications or would like to know more about the company, feel free to contact us, our team or our investment advisors, SGA. And thank you once again for taking up the time to join us on the call. Thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of Nitin Spinner's Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.